Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another We Need to Talk. Joe Tomlinson is still on holiday. Not Lanzarote this time. I think he's in Holland or somewhere, or the Netherlands, I should say, depending on what is geographically correct. Anyway, I'm your host today, and we need to talk about Fantasy Premier League. That's right, it's only a week away until the season begins. Just 7 days. It's been so quick and so long. I don't know why it feels like that. But the Premier League will be back. And so I wanted to make my own Fantasy Premier League in front of you guys so you can see what my thoughts and the questions in my head that I'm asking myself, because that just happens in general quite a lot. And also rating some of your teams at home and what I think of them. I'm not an FPL expert. If this does really well and you guys quite enjoy this content, maybe we'll make an FPL series in the future. If you'd like that, then leave the video a like. Drop it a like down below. And if you guys at home want to get involved with the Football Daily Premier League, the FPL League, then the code is on screen right now. I'm sure it'll be in the description below as well. There's thousands of you in there. And who knows, whoever wins it, we'll give them a prize. Also, as you can see, I'm in a different setting today. This is one of the new studios. Welcome to it. It's not quite how we'll normally be filming in it, but for now, this is it. We are nearly there. We are nearly back. And some fan favourites will be returning. But without further ado, let's crack on and make my team. Okay then, here we are. We are on the normal page of FPL, how you make your side. A quick warning. I am not a great FPL player. I normally do it within 60 seconds, less than at times, because I'm doing it last minute just to get involved and just join. However, I'm going to think about my options here. I'm going to look at obviously the money and whether they're worth it, and possibly look at how many points they scored last year, injury records, all that kind of stuff, and see if I can make the best FPL team. Spoiler alert, I'm probably not going to. Anyway, let's get on with it and start off with one of the biggest picks. It's going to be Mohamed Salah. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think it's going to surprise anyone. He is a lot of money, but he scores a lot of points. This is a guy who is ridiculous. I think, in fact, he probably gets the most points every single season. Last year, it was Mohamed Salah, closely followed by Heung-min Son, who I'll have a think about in whether I want to bring in Heung-min Son. One of the benefits, obviously, with Mohamed Salah is the fact that he actually plays as a midfielder, meaning if he scores a goal, that gets him more points than it would, say, a forward. But look, you're not dummies. You all understand how FPL works. So Mohamed Salah is going straight in. I don't really think I need to explain it. The same with one of my forwards. I want to get Harry Kane in there. Kane last year was ridiculous, and he only really started scoring in the second half of the season. So considering he's now really happy under Conte, the players that they've brought in are fantastic. I think he's going to be having a banging season. And when he's not scoring, he's assisting. Now, one of the players I want to bring in is a little bit of biased here. I'm going to be honest, it is biased. It's Chelsea. It's a Chelsea player, and I like the fact it's a brand new signing. I might end up changing this later on, but for now, I'm going to put Sterling in there. He is a lot of money on just 10 points, but I think he's going to be starting week in, week out for Chelsea next season, obviously. You don't bring him in if you're not going to do that. And like Mohamed Salah, he counts as a midfielder, where I think obviously he's going to be playing in the attacking role. He might even be playing through the middle for a decent amount of Chelsea's games. So we've already spent quite a few points. I've got 65.5 left. In terms of big ones as well, I want to get Trent Alexander-Arnold in. He is obviously a fantastic defender, and I always view it as when you play FPL, you have to get fullbacks as your defenders, because obviously they attack and they have more chances of getting assists, more so than goals, than a centre-back. Very rare, very, very rare, I think, you bring in a centre-back to play. So those, I would say, are the main four. Those are the main four that I feel like I'm not really going to change. Sterling possibly might change, but those four at the moment I'm happy with. They're the big spenders, to be quite honest. Everyone else is going to be debatable. I've seen a lot of people talking about Alisson in goal. I was thinking of Nick Pope, because obviously brand new to Newcastle's defence. Newcastle's defence in the end, when Eddie Howe joined, wasn't too bad. Obviously going to a 5 at the back system, bringing in Dan Burn, now bringing in Sven Botman as well, bringing in Nick Pope. You assume it's only going to get better. However, Nick Pope is 5 million. Is it counted as 5 million? Well, £5, whatever you want to say. Whereas Alisson is 5.5. And I feel like Alisson has the potential. Obviously, last season, Nick Pope got 130 points. Alisson got 176 points. Now, that is a big swing, a 36-point difference. In fact, Alisson, compared to the next best after him, is Lloris. That was 158. We'll go with Alisson for now. And if later on I want to change things and I want to get maybe a different player in, then maybe I'll drop off Alisson to go to Nick Pope. Because the fact that Nick Pope, to be honest, got 130 points for Burnley, who obviously had a poor season, says a lot. Says quite a lot, to be honest. And I think he's going to probably end up having more clean sheets than he did last year. Screw it. Alisson for now. And we'll go with that. In terms of a cheap goalkeeper, obviously 4 million is the cheapest out there. I'm going to go with Ward, Danny Ward, the Leicester goalkeeper. At the moment, it looks like Schmeichel might be leaving Leicester for Nice in France. So he could become the first choice goalkeeper if Leicester don't act quickly and get a replacement in. Obviously, if they do, I can change that, but he's going to be on the bench anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Straight away, I want to get in Zinchenko, another player who is actually obviously going to be playing midfield for Arsenal quite a decent amount, and also left back. I think he's going to be playing a lot in Arsenal's games. Now, whatever happens, I think he's going to be scoring points week in, week out. I'm actually quite confident with Arsenal next season. Arguably more confident than I am with Chelsea. But I like Zinchenko. 5 million as well is not breaking the bank. I think he has to be in your team. We then move into midfield, and I want to get one of my boys in there, Mason Mount. Mason Mount, I've always been a big fan of. Look, whether you like him or whether you don't, I don't really care. It's not going to change my opinion. I don't think it's going to change many people's opinion. I think he's quite a good litmus test on whether you can rate a footballer. Double figures last season for both goals and assists. I think he's going to continue that trend now. He's only 23 years old. He's going to be getting better and better. Thomas Tuchel is obviously a huge fan. Hopefully, Chelsea have a better season than they did last season in the attacking end, and bringing in Raheem Sterling will help towards that. So yeah, I'm going to have Mason Mount in there as well. Now, this is where things get tricky, because do I go all out and get a player like Gabby Jesus, who is 8 million and worth it, to be quite honest? Like, he's going to be playing week in, week out for Arsenal, whether that's as a striker or as a winger. I think he's going to be fantastic for Arsenal. I've spoken about it many a times. I don't need to speak about it again. But I was maybe thinking of spending that money in midfield rather than at striker. We'll stay for now, maybe make the changes in a bit. I'm going to quickly get my other forward in here. I'm going to go with Delap. I like Delap. I think he's an interesting one. Now, in terms of forwards that are the cheapest at 4.5 and how often they're being selected, Delap is... Oh, maybe not. Maybe I won't go Delap. Scratch that. The website's completely changed my opinion. I kind of forgot about Greenwood, and actually last season he was getting a decent amount of minutes with Leeds. He has been playing as well during pre-season under Jesse Marsch. Not necessarily as a striker. He's been playing on the wing and like left midfield and right midfield as well throughout pre-season. I actually read a quote as well from Jesse Marsch saying that he can basically kind of play anywhere that he wants him, and he'll do a fantastic position for it. I think I'm going to go with Greenwood. Obviously, you've also got Taylor from Nottingham Forest, but they've been spending a lot. I don't quite know whether he's going to be starting. Greenwood as well is not going to be starting for me, that's for sure. He'll be on the bench, but he'll be a decent bench option. So that's our first kind of like cheap signing down there, one of our first bench options. Okay, let's move back to the defence now. And I'm in three minds, arguably, here. You've got Cancelo, James and Perisic, who are actually, after Alexander-Arnold, the next three most picked players. Cancelo's been picked by 45% of players around the world, James by 40% of players, Perisic by 31% of players. Now, by the points last season, James got 141 and Cancelo got 201. Which is only 7 points less than what Trent got last year. Now, I think Cancelo, again, is going to be playing a lot of games, but he is 1 million more than Reece James. And I've kind of already spent that money on Alisson. The issue with Reece James is he going to be playing right wing back? Obviously last year, keep in mind, he got 141 points and he missed a couple of months due to injury as well. But there is a chance Chelsea don't go and get another centre-back, and they might end up playing Reece James at right centre-back. We know Thomas Tuchel doesn't mind doing that. I think for now, I'm going to get Reece James in. Again, bias might be playing out here. And worst comes to worst, maybe end up swapping him out if I need to later down the line. I also very quickly want to get in Nico Williams. He's someone that's actually been selected by 25% of all players. He's going to be on my bench. He's one of the cheapest, obviously at only 4 million quid, so I don't mind that. Now then, let's think. We need a kind of cheapish defender who isn't going to break the bank. Do I go for Cash or do I go for Digne? Now, Digne is a set piece taker for Aston Villa, which is something I've got to remember. Gets forward, has a good delivery on him. Is he going to take set pieces all the time with Coutinho there as well? That is a question. Buendia too is not a bad at bringing the ball in. Cucurella. Oh, maybe Cucurella for 5 million. Do I take the risk and go with Cucurella and hope that maybe a last-minute buy from Man City happens? Yes. Yes, I am. Go on, Cucurella. Get in the side. Get in the side. Okay, so I've got 8 million quid left for 2 positions here. In midfield, that is. This is where I think I might have to get rid of Sterling. Okay, if we go to midfielders with 4 million each, that's actually not possible. So I need to get rid of someone anyway. So, yeah, it's got to go. Sterling, mate, I love you. I think you're going to do very well. But I've got to make this decision for the good of the team. So who does that open us up to for, say, let's say 7 million? Bernardo Silva, Ward-Prowse at 6.5, I don't mind. Gallagher is an option. We can, get another Chelsea player back in there. Odegaard. I like Saka. I really, really do. And I think he's going to have another fantastic season. But what I'm thinking here is there's Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden is the same price as Saka. But actually, there's Bernardo Silva. And there's also Grealish, who I think is going to have a great second season. Playing on that left wing spot. I think he's going to have it on lock. Obviously, Raheem Sterling's left the club. Gabby Jesus has left the club. He's already been having a good relationship with Erling Haaland, I should say, already during pre-season. Jack Grealish goes in there for 7 million, leaves me 11 million, which is 5.5 million for 2 midfielders. Obviously, I could spend less on one of them and get more. So, yeah, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we get an absolute cheap midfielder for 4.5 million in, say, I don't know. There's obviously Murphy at Newcastle, who played some minutes under Eddie Howe. There's Gilmore, who I think is going to get a loan move to a Premier League team. What about some of the new boys? Who's some of the new boys that have joined? Kamara, obviously, but I don't think he's going to be doing that well. Maybe I do that. A lot of people have picked Andres Pereira. Obviously, he's now moved to Fulham. 24.2% of people have picked him. Obviously, he's a bench option, but he's going to be playing week in, week out for Fulham. That makes sense. So, was it Colback as well, who kind of like another attacking wing back for Nottingham Forest, I should say. Scored that worldie of a goal. But I think Andres Pereira is the guy I'm going to go for here, which leaves me 6.5 million to then spend. Martinelli, Rashford. I think there could be a revival under Erik ten Hag. Odegaard. Maybe I do that, because then that leaves me with my bench options being Nico Williams, Pereira, Greenwood. Then I do keep, but if I go back to 7. Is there someone I get in extra? I think it's a risk getting Martinelli in just because of his injury record. Neto then allows me to spend a little bit more on another player if I wanted to do that. So Neto last season obviously had a really bad injury, was out for a little while. He's been picked by 19.8% of players around the fan base that play the game. He's only 5.5 million. I don't mind that move at all. I thought I could get Neto in and he'd be okay. Like 11 goals, 12 goals, Whereas there is the opportunity to maybe get a Rashford, a Martinelli, an Odegaard, who could be fantastic and have a brilliant season, have goal contributions close to 20 plus. If I bank on a Rashford revival, he could blow up again. He could absolutely be fantastic. 18 goals or something mental. I think I might go with a safer option. That's a lot of Arsenal players in my team. It's a lot of Arsenal players in my team, though, if I think about it. I'm going to go with Odegaard. That way I spend all of my money. I'm happy with that. You know what? Depending on your changes and your suggestions in the comments below, I'll make some changes to this as well. That is the squad so far that I've picked. In terms of selection, let's quickly change this because that is wrong. We do want Cucurella playing. We don't want Nico Williams playing. Odegaard get in there ahead of Pereira. Greenwood, perfect. In that order, don't mind it. I do not mind it. I've got to get better as well this year at making those changes when I need to. When to use my triple captain, when to use or to change my captain throughout the weeks. I mean, there's a shout that you should maybe triple captain Salah for Fulham first game, but I wouldn't do that just yet. I will captain him though. I will captain him. So let's make Salah captain, Harry Kane vice captain in this instance, and that's the team. That is the team right there that I have selected. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, now earlier on today, I put a tweet out saying, I need your FPL teams for this week's video. And I'll send them in and I'll give them my honest opinion. I didn't really expect this many replies, over 200. So obviously a lot of you out there are playing FPL, and I'm sure if I did this a bit earlier, it could have got even more. Now, I'm going to scroll through some of them, give my thoughts and opinions, maybe compare them to mine, take some ideas from them and apply them to mine. I'm already looking at George, who is editing this, and thinking I could make a change. Now, the change I'm thinking is, do I bring in Luis Diaz? How much was Luis Diaz on Fantasy Premier League? How am I already making it? He's 8 million. Okay, 8 million is quite a bit. 8 million was quite a bit. Yeah, no, so that's fine. That's fine. I'm still happy with mine. I'm still happy with mine at the moment. No changes necessary. George, though, has obviously got Alexander-Arnold like me. He did go for Neto. Fair enough, a decent kind of cheap option there. He's gone for Jesus. He's obviously an Arsenal fan. I like that, George. I like it. We've got another Arsenal fan here in Connor. Zaha, Bruno, Luis Diaz midfield. That obviously gives him the option to have Haaland. I should say Haaland again. I need to get used to that. Harry Kane and Gabby Jesus up top. That is a wicked front three. Again, his defence is very strong as well. Alisson in goal. Alexander-Arnold, Perisic, James, Trippier. I'm seeing a lot of Trent and Perisic. A lot of people are banking on Perisic to bang. He's obviously been brought in by Antonio Conte. He's not going to be sitting on the bench. He's going to be playing in that left wing spot. I'm interested to see how he does in the Premier League. It could be a guy that you end up bringing in quite quickly, depending on how he settles. Doogie. Now, if there's one man who loves the FPL, it's Doogie Critchley. This boy adores it. He's the guy that made the Football Daily one. Again, if you're not in the league, get in the league. The link is in the description below. Zinchenko, I like it. He's banking on a Rashford revival. He's got Mahrez in there. He's going to have a fantastic season under Pep Guardiola. I don't doubt it. He does have Mendy in goal, which is an interesting choice. I think Mendy was about 5 million. I do slightly worry for Chelsea's first couple of games. Now, obviously, we've mentioned the defensive issue. I think it's going to take a few games as well to gel with that defence, especially if someone like Aspie leaves, because he's obviously the captain. Normally, I think as well with the Chelsea's back line, he's leading it at times, though actually it now might be Thiago Silva. But yeah, there's going to be a bit of a mix-up, I think, until Chelsea find that perfect defence. So it's an interesting choice, but for like 0.5, I still think it's worth just going for Alisson. I really, really do. Interesting point, though, from Dan Hepburn about Doogie's team. Perisic apparently hasn't played a lot of minutes for Spurs during pre-season, meaning he may be getting embedded into the team before starting. So keep that in mind for your teams out there. I like that, Dan. Thank you, mate. We've got someone with 0.5 million left in the bank. Now, that's never a good idea, in my opinion. Use all your money, surely. Okay, straight away, this comes from Alaba427. Van Dijk. Now, I like Van Dijk. Obviously, he's the best centre-back in the world. He does get assists. He does get goals. I don't doubt it. But I feel like with FPL, like you're just taking a risk getting a centre-back because there are going to be games where he's not going to do anything. Obviously, Liverpool's defence is fantastic. He's going to get clean sheets. I get that. But what I mean is in an attacking sense. Like the bonus about having a fullback is you have a higher chance of them getting a goal or assist because he hasn't got Trent here. And then, obviously, them also getting a clean sheet. To be fair, Van Dijk cost £6.5 million, so he is 1 million less than Trent, got 183 points last year, but Alexander-Arnold got 208 for 1 million more. I see it. I think you could maybe get both of them as well if you wanted to and really double up on that clean sheet, and he does get goals, there's no doubt about it, and maybe then give up on someone like a Reece James and go for another bit of a cheaper option. That is definitely an option, that is for sure. He's been picked by 12% of all FPL players, which is quite low, especially when Trent Alexander-Arnold has been picked by 54%. How many people picked Robertson? Only 10%. Robertson's 0.5 less, and actually got a total of 186 points, which I think was the same as Van Dijk, if I'm correct. Only 3 more than Van Dijk. So you can understand why people have decided not to go with Robertson. Quickly going back to Alaba's team, anything else? Heung-min Son in there, Foden, Haaland, Martial. Maybe he's banking on Martial kind of having a revival. He has been decent during pre-season. But yeah, I'd maybe change Van Dijk for a Trent. I think Trent's just too good not to get in the side, to be honest. We've got this one from Ahmed, an Arsenal fan, who says new Arsenal. He's put here as well, Ramsdale or Mendy. Now, we kind of mentioned the Chelsea situation, what I already think of that. But if I'm comparing it to whether to get him or Ramsdale, I would say go with Ramsdale, because Chelsea's second game of the season is against Spurs, which I'll be surprised if Chelsea keep a clean sheet. Pleasantly surprised, though, that is worth being said. So yeah, I'd go with Ramsdale, and then after a couple of games, see how the defences are working out. Arsenal obviously were pretty good defensively as well last season, well, especially second half of the season. So maybe not against Spurs. So yeah, go with Ramsdale, and then after, say, 4-3 games, maybe then swap out Mendy for Ramsdale, if that's what you'd like to do. But I like the team. I do like the team. Robertson, he's obviously gone for a little bit of a cheaper option. Tomiyasu, I think, is a good choice if he plays. Big if. Obviously, Ben White was playing at right back for pre-season for Arsenal. Cancelo, good option. He's going to be playing, even if they bring in Cucurella. Chilwell, great option if he stays fit. Like, there were times last season where Chilwell, when he was fit, was just scoring week in, week out. I will just say, Chilwell didn't play against Arsenal in pre-season, which would concern me slightly, whether he is going to play. But against Everton, Chelsea could score a few goals there. He could get a couple of them because he's like playing as a striker at times. It's mental. Midfield, Rashford, Mahrez, Salah, Neto. I like it. Haaland, Jesus. In the Haaland-Kane battle, I think I would go with Kane. Haaland is 11.5. Kane is 11.5. They're being matched at the same price. I just think it's worth going with Harry Kane. You know what you're going to get. Haaland, there is the option of him getting injured. There's also the option of Harry Kane getting injured. That is a fair point as well. But Harry Kane also gives you the element of assists. I don't think we're going to be seeing that with Haaland. As great as he may be for City, because he may score 23 goals or more. But I think Harry Kane could be scoring 23 goals plus 10 assists or something crazy. So I think maybe I'd edged for a Harry Kane. And one of the things as well that you don't want to do with FPL is get so many of the same players. I mean, it's fine probably having City and Liverpool, so these three aren't too bad. But for any other teams, maybe stay away from having 3 of the same team. Kulusevski comes from Cool Bench. I don't mind that. At all. I do think he ran hot last season. He had a solid 6 months, that's for sure. Or less than 6 months, second half of the season, I should say. I don't think he's going to be quite at that level, and I think he's also going to be splitting minutes with Richarlison. So I think that might be an option of just being wary of maybe having to swap him out. He is obviously costing you 8 points as well, 8 million quid. For a guy like maybe, say, like Mason Mount, you look like maybe you're a Spurs fan with three Spurs players. So yeah, maybe go for someone like Mason Mount, who you know is going to be playing week in, week out. A Jack Grealish then gives you a million cheaper, it's only 7 million. That would be my only concern. I've got an interesting one here from Jonah. I'm not seeing a team quite like this. A few players that I've not mentioned yet. Firstly, in goal, he's gone for Bazunu, the new Southampton keeper that they signed from Man City. Obviously, what he's done here is tried to keep his goalkeeping options really cheap so he can go and spend more on outfield players. I understand it. I think you want to be careful with it because Goalkeepers, I think, are quite underappreciated in FPL, and so maybe I would have gone for someone that's going to be keeping a clean sheet, especially at the beginning. So he's got Tottenham Hotspur, and I think they might go, and they might be running riot. As for other players that we haven't mentioned, Botman, I think, is an interesting choice. 4.5 million, another centre-back. I mentioned what I already think of centre-backs. It's a cheap option, I can understand, again, to maybe spend more upfield. Though when I look upfield, I don't really know where the money's all gone. Maybe. Okay. So I understand what he's trying to do here. Botman, as well, as I mentioned, Newcastle's defence was pretty good towards the second half of the season, especially under Eddie Howe. And I think it's only going to get better. Nick Pope coming in as well. They already bought Dan Burn, so I think it's only going to get better. He's got Darwin Núñez, which is interesting. So Darwin Núñez is an interesting option because he's 9 million, which is $1 million more than Jesus. He's obviously got Jesus in his side. He's brought in Son, which obviously you're going to spend a lot. Salah, you're going to spend a lot. I get it. Odegaard. Sancho's a really interesting one. I think it's going to be a big season for Sancho, so he could end up being fantastic and brilliant under Ten Hag. He's looked good in pre-season, that's for sure. But Darwin Núñez is 9 million, and he's been picked by 15% of all players on there. That makes sense. I get it, but I do think it's a lot of money for someone we don't know yet. Like, he is someone you can maybe make a change for later on. And if he's banging that much, you can put a wild card in. Like, maybe, for instance, you go for an Ivan Toney that gives you 2 million more to go spend in midfield, and you can improve on, say, the Botman area, and you can go and get another fullback to play there. But I like it. Like, I think it's a risk that could end up paying off really, really well. Like, I'm not saying Darwin is bad or he's going to be bad at all. I just don't know. And maybe I think for me, when I do this, I'm more cautious about playing FPL. Whereas you, my friend, seem like a risk taker, which could work out really well, and I hope it does. So yeah, I do like this team. I like it because it's different. I think that's what I enjoy when I look at teams in FPL. So well done, Jonah, mate. Well done. Okay, I'll look at maybe two more, and try and see any teams that have a little bit of a difference to what's going round at the moment. It's understandable, though, why a lot of people would have the same teams, because they're going for players that look like they're going to bang this season, and there's quite a few of them. I think, again, every team that I've seen so far has Trent and Salah. Oh, someone's gone from Mitro here, 93 Villi. I don't mind Mitro. I think Mitro's going to score 12 plus. Whether Fulham stay up is another question, but Mitro, I think, is going to be all right. So he's a decent guy to get in your side, that's for sure. You know, it's 6.5 million. I think that's a solid choice. I really do. He's obviously got, this is 93 Villi. He's got Salah there. He's got Sterling. He's got Mount. He's got James. I assume he's a Chelsea fan. That's the way I can always tell. It's how many, the players they've got in their side. I don't mind it, I don't mind it. Haaland is a great option. Foden's a great option. I actually quite like this team. James Justin, I quite like as well. Sanchez, Brighton, I think could have a good season this year. Obviously, he's got Cucurella there as well. I quite like this team, man. It's different. Sterling is maybe the one I would have said, you could have possibly then upgraded on James Justin if you went for a little bit cheaper. But if Sterling has a fantastic season, you look like an absolute pro. So I get it. I do get it. I hope Sterling does have a good season. Obviously, this was one that I was debating on. But Villi, I like it, mate. I like it. You've heard my opinions. Probably won't action them. So fair play to you. I've got this one from my good friend Patrick Van Straten. I like it. You know what it is? It's a very Pato team where there's a lot of players here that Pat thinks are going to bang this season. And if they do, he, smashes it again, as he often does. But there are a few players here who could end up costing him places in the league. Havertz, I think, is someone where it's very 50-50. Havertz could have his best ever season for Chelsea this year and go on to score maybe 13 goals and get something like 8 assists, which would be a really good season, I think. Last season, he only got 8 goals, but he wasn't playing through the middle, that's for sure. And he was very much in and out of the side. And so I think if he does have a great year, like that is a fantastic option. Again, we mentioned earlier, I think he's about 8 million, so he is quite an expensive option as well. Jesus, obviously fantastic. Odsonne Edouard, I think Palace are going to improve as well on what they did last year, and I think he's going to have a better season. I don't think he had a terrible season either. Jack Grealish there, I've mentioned it, Pat has mentioned it a million times. the second season Man City winger curse, or should say benefit now, will probably happen for Jack Grealish. Digne mentioned that. Very, very good. Kulusevski, Pat loves him. He's got him in there. Perisic. Interesting one. Interesting one, Perisic. But again, maybe that's one he could change. He's got Zinchenko on the bench for Perisic. But maybe he's thinking Spurs are playing Southampton, whereas Arsenal are playing Palace. More chance of Perisic getting onto the score sheet. Got Mason Mount, Martinelli on the bench, Nico Williams cheap. Yeah, I don't mind that. Obviously, Edison and then Ortega. Easy option there being like the first choice goalkeeper, the second choice goalkeeper. It makes sense. It makes sense, Pat. I like it. I like quite a lot of these teams. So that was me making my FPL team and also rating some of your FPL team. My skill on FPL is not great, but who knows? Maybe I'll improve this year. Again, leave some of your suggestions for what I should do with my team in the comments below. What do you think of it? Rate it out of a 10. Let me know down there. If you want to be involved with the Football Daily Fantasy League, then make sure you join the link by clicking it down below or also using this code that's on screen right now. And let me know whether you guys want us to do more FPL content by getting in the comments and also liking the video. If you get, again, to say, I don't know, 8,000 likes, that really does showcase that you guys want FPL content, and maybe like pre-games, obviously, to suggest what plays you might want to go for and seeing how our teams are getting on. Drop a like if you want to see that. If you want to see more Football Daily content, then click on screen right now. And as always, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Football Daily.